Hey guys, CryptoDad here again. Thanks for joining me on the Saturday night live stream. Live from Michigan, where you can throw out questions and I'll do my best to get them answered. We'll talk about Bitcoin, we'll talk about the news, we'll talk about altcoins, gonna move some crypto around for you guys, and as always, I'll do my very best to get to your questions and see if we can't troubleshoot your problems here live. Well, welcome. It's been a roller coaster week, most of it downward. But that's a thrill too for some, I guess. Bitcoin has broken below 110,000 in the last few days, and many people are wondering if this signals the end of the Bitcoin bull cycle. A lot of people think about Bitcoin as the 4-year cycle, and a lot of analysts talk about the 4-year cycle. And so they're saying that the 4-year cycle is coming to an end, if you believe in the 4-year cycle. We'll also talk a little bit about the Bitcoin halving events, which are roughly tied to the 4-year cycle because they occur about 4 years apart as well, although they are based on blockchain numbers and not necessarily on time. But time-wise, they do tend to come in 4-year cycles as well. A lot of analysts feel that based on the 4-year cycle or the Bitcoin halving cycle, that we are at the peak and that the bull run is over on its way down. There are other analysts that disagree with that and have other theories. So I'm going to kind of take a deep dive into the Bitcoin bull cycle and see if we can't inform you guys a little bit about how to think about it. Also, big news from Ledger. They've lowered the price of their Ledger Nano S Plus down to $59. So it's even cheaper to get their entry-level hardware wallet. There's a lot of confusion around the Ledger Nano S and the Ledger Nano S Plus. I wish Ledger had come up with a more unique name for the Plus. It is a different product. It is not the Ledger Nano S. It is a completely different product, but it does look like it. And it was the replacement for the Ledger Nano S. But maybe if they'd call it the Shazam or something, people wouldn't get confused because they have sunsetted their older Ledger Nano S. Anywho, I did a video on that. I'll point that out to you guys. And also, in good news, the Crypto.com token, CRO, had quite a run-up this week, if you were not aware of that. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. Let's see. I've got my Trezor... what am I talking about? Traverse City shirt on here. Traverse City, Michigan is in the mitten, the tip of the mitten. Traverse Bay. It's a beautiful place, and we went there for 4th of July. Got this nifty shirt. Love Michigan. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to visit. I don't know. I'm not getting any affiliate income from Traverse City, but I just wanted to let you know I'm wearing their shirt tonight. Let's go over and greet everyone that's here. I want to thank everyone that jumped in tonight. Kenny was here early, along with Just Have Fun. Mr. Miskey, Hands Hannah, 350, Dusted in Shadow. Good to have you guys here. Again, W is here. Marv is here. Mike from Jekyll Island, Georgia. Welcome. I think I made a comment if that's the Jekyll Island where all the bigwigs met to talk about establishing the Federal Reserve. If you've ever read that book, the Creature from Jekyll Island, I think it's called. Alina Harding, or Alina Harding's dad, is here. Gregory Whelan is here. Wayne is here. Treb3 is here. E. Poston from Colorado. Eric Nichols. I don't know about 250,000 in 2026. That's pretty optimistic, but it wouldn't be bad. Paul is here. Paul P. Wizzle. Margot Pratt from Australia. Inolgoff Vestman. Hello. Grant, Drew is here. Christopher Tane from Melbourne. Mehan Yeager, it's hard to get your profits off Coinbase and exchanges during blow off banana zone tops because of internet traffic. Yeah, it's better if internet traffic is a problem, you might want to try off peak hours to do your trades. I know when the market's popping, you want to jump in there at 8 o'clock on a weekday evening or a weekend evening, and a lot of people are on about that time. Yeah. And when the market's up, there's a lot of activity. Joseph is here. Thank you for that donation and your patronage, as usual. It's nice to have you here. Dan is here. If you want to avoid this scenario, take profits on the way up. That's good. Remember to smash that like. Fred McIntyre's here. Thank you, guys. Dan is here, our moderator, Dan. Good to have you, Dan. Good to see you here. Amsterdam, Holland. I think I said hello to you already. A lot of people here. Dusted in Shadow is giving out memberships. That's so kind of you. And D Crypto. Let's do it. Yeah. I'm gonna, if you've never been in the stream before, check out the description. There's a lot of cool stuff. You should check out my special landing page for Ledger. That's the first link. You can get $10 in Bitcoin back as a base. Whenever they run specials, they'll update my page with all the latest specials. But, there's no sales running now, but you can still get $10 Bitcoin rebates. You can still get the Ledger Nano upgrade program. If you have an older Ledger Nano S, you can connect it to this site. They'll detect your device. They'll detect that you have a Ledger Nano S, and they will give you a 20% discount. And if you use my link, you'll get an additional Bitcoin rebate as well. They have taken the Ledger Nano S off of the update program. I'm sorry, the S Plus. Here, now I'm making it confusing. The S Plus is no longer in the upgrade program because now that they're selling it for $59, it's too cheap to give it another 20%. It's cheaper now than it was with the 20%. Before, with the 20% update on the Ledger Nano S Plus at $79, it brought it down to, I believe, $63.20. But with, the special $59 price, that's even cheaper than it was on the 20% program. They're just not going to give you both. That's the way it goes. But if you use my link, you'll get that $10. Anyhow, enough about me. We've got an agenda of things we're going to talk about, a whole bunch of affiliate links if you're interested in any of the stuff I talk about. I have videos for all kinds of different wallets. I focus on self-custody, staying safe online, staying secure with your crypto. So I've got a lot of affiliate links here for any of these programs. I've got a lot of the news linked. So let's go ahead and jump into the news and get this party started. So Bitcoin heads towards 100K as U.S. trade deficit, China bank woes raise alarm. Well, here we have the broader financial markets affecting most risk assets, right? Not necessarily Bitcoin directly, but they always use those as excuses. People need to hang market drops and market run-ups onto events of some kind. And so the reason the Bitcoin is dropping, some say, is because of these macroeconomic factors. It's not really at 100K. It's at 108. Well, it's about 108.5 right now, Bitcoin. And that's not anywhere near 100,000, really. It never really dropped much below 107 over the last day or so, and that was just not very long. It's been steady at about 108.5 most of the day. So the headline is a little bit alarmist, but that's kind of where we're at. We're at a pullback. And to keep this in perspective, Bitcoin just hit a new all-time high about 2 weeks ago. I mean, we're only 2 weeks off our all-time high. So it's basic market behavior for Bitcoin to pull back when it hits all-time highs. But there's a lot of chicken littles running around, oh, this is it. That's the peak. We're on our way down. But let's talk about that. But I just wanted to give you like the market news, right? This is kind of where we're at. Bitcoin's down, basically. And then also I had mentioned Crypto.com's Kronos. It jumped 40% on Trump Media Group CRO strategy. Now, Trump Media Group is positioning itself to be a crypto treasury company like MicroStrategy. And they're going to be holding Bitcoin and Ethereum and a kind of a basket of cryptocurrencies. But CRO is one of them. And they mentioned this a couple months ago. So, but they didn't officially announce this partnership until Wednesday. So I kind of picked up on the fact that CRO was going to be one of the coins that Trump Media Group was holding. So I bought some. So you can see I've got some Kronos in my wallet here. I think if I recall, this was about $500 worth a couple weeks back, last week, right? So I did pretty good on that one. I'm not going to sell it, though. I'm going to hang on to it. And I don't usually give financial advice. I'm just kind of telling you where I'm at on my portfolio. But CRO is not even close to its all-time high that it set back in 2021. Let's see where they talked about that. Yeah. Despite reaching multi-year highs, CRO remains about 300% below its all-time peak. Ray Kin, thank you so much for that subscription. But it was at 0.965 back in 2021. So it seems like a good coin to hang on to, at least for now. Unless we're at the end of the bull market cycle and then all bets are off, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. I've got several articles. They're linked down below, and they're talking about the 4-year cycle. You remember I mentioned that at the very beginning. The 4-year cycle, some say, is caused by the Bitcoin halving events, which come roughly 4 years apart. So the peak of the cycle, I believe the theory goes, hits about 9 months after the actual halving event. And so, but just chart-wise, you could just look at it in abstract as a 4-year cycle, even if you knew nothing about the Bitcoin halving event. And by the way, I do have an article here about what the Bitcoin halving is. Bitcoin halving is a term that's used. Bitcoin automatically cuts in half the Bitcoin miner rewards after a certain number of blocks. And like I said, it usually occurs every 4 years. And this has to do with Bitcoin mining. It's a little complicated, but I did link an article. There's a link down in the description if you want to know what the heck we're talking about with the Bitcoin halving event. It basically it's built in to the Bitcoin code. It's immutable, and it basically keeps Bitcoin non-inflationary, right? It makes it more scarce, and so the rewards are less for mining. So that contributes to scarcity and keeps Bitcoin anti-inflationary. So we covered that, right? So we've got this 4-year cycle. Bitcoin has been approaching 4 years since its all-time high, the last all-time high, that is. The 2 cycles before lasted roughly 4 years, measuring from the previous high. Will this happen this time in 2025? That's what everybody wants to know, right? If this follows the previous 4-year cycles, November of 2025 could be the peak. So the good news, bad news with this view is that, hey, we're not quite there yet. We might still hit another all-time high, but we're thinking after November 25th, we're on the way back down again, right? For the next, the down cycle until we get the next 4-year cycle. So Bitcoin price has fallen since its 124,474 all-time high on August 14th. This is August, guys. Yeah, this was 2 weeks ago. It's August 30th. So it seems a little bit reactionary to say, hey, we're on the down cycle now, just because we've pulled back from 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, a lot of speculation out there. Since the previous Bitcoin cycle ended in November of 2021, proponents of the 4-year cycle believe that the top is near, even though on-chain indicator signals suggest this is not the case. A little bit of optimism there. And so they go through and talk about the previous cycles. They've got them charted there, and they talk about the 2021 cycle. It's a lot of charting stuff. And then they talk about the 2017 cycle and its behavior. And then they just basically talk about the 4-year cycle and how it our current cycle, if it is a cycle, compared to previous cycles. I didn't want to get too deep into this. That's why I link all these articles so you guys can read them in a little more detail. And then at the end it says, alternatively, well, it could just do away with the 4-year cycles altogether and continue increasing well into 26 and 27. Right. I love these detailed analysis articles, and then at the end the caveat is or not. It's like, okay, all right. And then another article, Bitcoin's bull run nearing the end. Analysts point to October. Okay, so this one's like next month, October. Well, it's not quite September yet. Yeah, so they're saying, okay, well, October is going to be the peak. And then based on the 1,060-day cycles, nearing its longest duration, September looms as Bitcoin's weakest month with a negative 3.77% average return and growing technical warning signals. Experts debate cycle timing as sentiment, Fed policy, and macro factors may delay or reshape Bitcoin's top. So this is just basically very similar to the previous article, kind of an analysis of the Bitcoin, this current cycle, where it's heading, and some opinions of some analysts about where Bitcoin is heading based on the 4-year cycle. And then this article here, which I referred to earlier, if you're curious what the halving event is all about, has to do with the computer code that creates Bitcoin and the miners that use specialized calculating machines to crunch numbers and guess the next nonce. I think that's what they call it, NONCE, nonce. But yeah, it's a little bit beyond the scope of this live stream. So, but I'll leave that down there if you guys want to check out this article, if you're wondering what I'm talking about. Now, some good news. Some analysts don't think that the Bitcoin bull cycle is over. Market cycles not anchored to halvings. This is one analyst here. Analyst James Check argued that Bitcoin has seen 3 market cycles driven by adoption trends rather than halving events as widely believed. Bitcoin's market cycles are not anchored to its halving events. According to James Check, in my opinion, Bitcoin has experienced 3 cycles and they are not anchored around the halvings. Check highlighted the 3 previous cycles as an adoption cycle from 2011 to 2018, driven by retail early adoption, and an adolescent cycle from 2018 to 2022, driven by Wild West boom and bust with leverage, and the current maturity cycle from 2022 onward, driven by institutional maturity and stability. I personally have noticed the run up this cycle. If you want to refer to what's going on now as this cycle or this time around, I've noticed that Bitcoin has behaved a lot more stable than it did in previous cycles. You used to see a huge volatility, but we've seen a lot of Bitcoin staying in a range for months at a time. We've seen Bitcoin slowly gain over time, month by month, week by week, rather than this crazy up and down stuff that we saw in previous cycles. I totally agree with the maturity and stability. We've got a lot more adoption now. We've got a lot more institutional acceptance. So I tend to agree with this article. Things changed after the 2022 bear market, and folks who assume the past will repeat likely miss the signal because they are looking at the historical noise, right? The previous three cycles. Check's analysis goes against the popular theory that Bitcoin market cycles typically span 4 years and are anchored by halving events, which induce a supply shock due to the decreased block rewards and greater demand. This is when the bull market peak comes in the year after the halving event, as it has done in 2013, 2017, 2021. We're on track to repeat the pattern and appears to be on track to repeat the pattern in 2025. We had a halving event in 2024, by the way. They didn't mention that here. So his analysis is that this is the end of the 4-year cycle. Now, I've talked with Dan about, let me look at this last article here. Macro drivers will dampen Bitcoin's halving cycles. I was just about to bring this up. Even if we analyze the Bitcoin halving events, they are getting closer together, and the amount of Bitcoin is getting smaller. So if we look back at this article, let's see. Yeah, here we go. The first halving took place November and saw the block reward. That's the reward. Let me get this bigger for you guys. The block reward went from 50 Bitcoin down to 25 Bitcoin. That's a big jump, right? And then in July of 16, the Bitcoin halving took the reward down from 25 Bitcoin to 12.5 Bitcoin. The third halving and latest halving took place in May of 2020, which went from 12.5 Bitcoin down to 6.25 Bitcoin. This article was actually written before the 2024 halving. So they're speaking of the 2024 halving in the future tense here. But they're saying that the 2024 halving event will take the reward down from 6.25 to 3.125. Now, granted, Bitcoin is worth a lot more now than it was, but we're still looking at incrementally smaller drops in the amount of Bitcoin. So I'm thinking that we're sort of leveling out in that respect. That's my opinion. But let's look at this article here. According to Tim Draper, macro factors are affecting the 4-year cycle as well. So the decline of the US dollar and the loss of purchasing power due to fiat currency inflation will drive global demand for Bitcoin. Macroeconomic drivers will dampen the effects of the Bitcoin halving cycle, which is the source of market booms and busts that have been a feature of Bitcoin since 2009. Between 10 and 20 years from now, the dollar will be extinct, Draper told Cointelegraph in an interview. The world is changing and we are watching it happen. We are right in the center of an anthropomorphical leap forward. Draper said investors increasingly view Bitcoin as an escape valve against poor governance, distrust of banking institutions, fiat currency inflation, and geopolitical tensions, which are all driving global adoption of the supply-capped digital currency. Bam! The halvings may have less of an effect on if Bitcoin runs against the dollar the way it has, because it will probably go for a prolonged period. It will still be affected in some way by that 4-year cycle, but I think the effect will dampen, right? Yeah, my take on it is the halving event is leveling off as the Bitcoin reward gets smaller and smaller, even though the price of the Bitcoin is getting higher too, which kind of levels off the leveling. But still, I think when we get down to, what's the difference between, 0.5 Bitcoin and 0.25 Bitcoin, as the halving gets close. And we still got like 150 years to go before all the Bitcoin is mined. So that's a lot of little halving events, and I think they will get closer together as we get closer to the end too. So that's my take on the halving trend affecting the market. And this article here kind of talks about the macroeconomic factors. He's mostly talking about inflation and U.S. reserve currency status. But, we've got institutional adoption. We've got friendly regulatory environment. There's a lot of other macro factors that are coming into play in this latest Bitcoin bull run. So I don't know. What do you think? Is this the end of the cycle? Are we on our way back down to like Bitcoin at 50 grand again? Or are we, still in the up cycle and heading to the moon forever? I don't know. So you guys throw out what you think. I'm going to get caught up on the chat here, and then I wanted to move some crypto around for you guys. Let's see here. Bitcoin goes parabolic near the end of the cycle and then drops 75 to 85% after. That's Dan. That is true. Doesn't mean it will happen this time, but it doesn't mean it won't either. That's true. Dan has been around a while. It is unusual for the transaction to take place over a couple hours. The day, given the market time, price breakdown, it would be an extreme case. Generally, when you make a trade or a purchase or maybe a withdrawal on Coinbase during peak hours, I've seen it take 5 minutes. I've seen it take 20 minutes. I've seen it take a couple hours, depending on what you're doing. A lot of times when you deposit Bitcoin from your wallet into Coinbase, it does take it a while to actually hit your Coinbase account and become tradable, spendable, or cash outable, however you want to think about that. But like I said, off-peak hours are probably better. What's the difference? What's the 12-hour difference? It's not like it was before where Bitcoin would lose like 20%, in a couple hours. It doesn't happen like that anymore. So off-peak hour trading is probably the answer, but we'll see. The CryptoDad Trezor generates a new receiving address. How can I confirm this address by sending a small amount? If the next transaction, there will be a new receiving generator. Son of a rabbit, you can send to the previous address if you want to. Those previous addresses remain viable. They all lead to the same wallet. So it's part of Bitcoin's code that it generates new receiving addresses. This increases the privacy so that when you send out a receiving address, they don't see all your previous transactions. But all of the previous Bitcoin sending addresses remain usable, right? You can continue to send to previous addresses. So I think, were you here last week? You seem to have asked the exact same question last week. So if you want to if you've tested it to a certain address and you've gotten it, then you can send more to that exact same address and you'll get it, right? Just because the wallet gave you a brand new address does not invalidate the previous addresses. So I hope that answers your question there. Let's see. Have 3 or 4 exchanges to work with if you main exchange is having issues. Yes, Paul, sage advice. I have Coinbase, I have Kraken, I have Binance US, I have Crypto.com, I have a lot of different places that I can go to buy and sell crypto if I need to. But if you're keeping all of your cryptocurrency on one particular exchange, then you are, you're a slave to that exchange's whims, in the sense that when, there's traffic and you can't make your trade in a timely manner, or you can't make your withdrawal, or, whatever, that exchange goes down, or they lock your account because of suspicious activity or bots or whatever. If you keep all your eggs in one basket, then you're dependent on that exchange. If you keep your crypto, your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, whatever, in your own wallet, like the way I do, I keep the bulk of my crypto in my Ledger wallet, so that when I'm ready to trade, I can choose whatever exchange I want. I just transfer over there and make a trade. So if Coinbase is down, if Coinbase is bogged down, then I'll just use Kraken. And if Kraken's down, I'll use Binance US. If Binance US is down, I'll use Uphold. If Uphold's down, I'll use Crypto.com. Because I control my crypto when it's in my own wallet. So I can send and receive however I want. Every now and then, you might get caught if you send a bunch of Bitcoin over to Coinbase thinking you're going to trade it right away and it's slow. You have to find somewhere to trade your Bitcoin, right? But if your modus operandi is self-custody, then you have more options than if you keep all your crypto on one exchange. Dave Gza. Most of my portfolio is in XRP, but I would like to speak of Ethereum. XRP is faster, but what about Ethereum? Has never once gone down offline. This is Tom Lee's input. Okay. I don't know. I think Ethereum in the past has had some network problems, but I believe Bitcoin has never gone down. But Ethereum may have gone down once or twice, but not recently. Of all the major cryptos that have had downtime, I think Solana is one that's a little more notorious for that, mostly because it tends to be a little more centralized. But that's kind of the trade-off because it's so fast and cheap. So, you seem to be worried about whether the Ethereum blockchain is stable enough to invest in Ethereum or use Ethereum. I think it's sufficient. It's had several improvements over the years. I know XRP is very fast and very cheap to use, but there are other cryptos out there as well that are also fast and cheap. SUI, Solana, Cardano. Let's see. Dan is letting us know what's going on here. We have not reached the top yet according to the chart. Do you think Bitcoin hits 1 million? I can't speculate on that. I would like that to happen, but I'm not an analyst. I specialize in self-custody. I just kind of parrot the news to you guys. I do the research and present the facts the best of my ability, but I'm not an oracle. I wish I was. I'd be rich now if I was. I'm almost down to the end here. I wanted to address this. I was thinking about this earlier. And I was planning on doing a video on the top touchscreen crypto wallets. So the three I'm going to cover are the OneKey Pro, the Ledger Stacks and or Flex, and then the Trezor Safe 5. These are what I consider the top of the line mainstream brand touchscreen crypto devices. And I wanted to kind of do a breakdown and do like a comparison video, talk about the strengths and weaknesses of each one. But I was going to preface it in the beginning of the video and say something along the lines of, don't expect me to tell you which one of these wallets you should buy. I get that all the time. People are just, tell me what the best wallet is and I'll go buy it. You know, I'm like, and I don't do that. And the reason I don't do that is because if you are doing self-custody is all about personal responsibility, personal commitment. You are your own bank. And if you're going into doing self-custody, you have to remember it's a wild west out there. And in many respects, you're on your own. Now, a lot of people get mad. Oh, I don't get enough tech support from this company or that company. And I always kind of scoff and say, well, you're doing self-custody. You know, what is it about, you know, what is it that you can't figure out on your own, that something happens, you hit a button and you don't know what you did or whatever, and you got to call the tech support of the wallet company. You know, there's so many resources out there. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is, if you're doing self-custody, then the attitude of, hey, just tell me what to do, or hey, just tell me which one to buy, is not the right attitude for self-custody. You should not be asking someone else what the right thing to do is. You should be doing all of the research, checking all of the different places where you can find information, check each company's website out, check blogs, check Reddit, watch YouTube videos, and then make your own decision. Don't just look for someone out there that's going to just tell you what to do. Someone mentioned Tom Lee, and that's great. Tom Lee said, or I guess it was Tom Lee, but I get that a lot too. It was like, something Peterson. There's a lot of gurus out there, and those go, hey Rex, did you see that latest video by some so and so, and what he says I'm like, I don't watch videos about gurus. I'm not looking for advice on how to run my life or what cryptos to buy. I'm doing research, but I'm not like watching a video of somebody else telling me what to do. Am I making sense to anybody here? I don't know. Am I just rambling? Yeah, I think I am. Yeah. So yeah, self-custody is about being responsible. And it's not responsible just to say, hey, tell me what to do. Tell me what wallet to buy. That's a spoiler, for me. I have my favorite wallets, but I'm not going to impose, my views on you, because then if you don't like your wallet, Rex told me to buy it. I'm like, well, don't listen to me then. It's your decision. So stop looking for somebody to tell you how to do it and where and why and what to do, which wallet to buy and which crypto to buy. Sorry. Anyway, let's move some crypto around. I haven't done it in a while. I've got some Ethereum here in my Ledger Live. If you're not familiar, Ledger Live is the software that we use to manage our crypto on our Ledger devices. And I got my Ledger device right here. And I think I got this camera working over here. I'm going to move this camera a little off and see if maybe this is going to work. Let's check it out. I think it will, if I can get the mic here. Well, now I can't see this thing. Okay. We're getting there. No, not there. This. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's not bad, but there's no green screen behind me from this angle, but that's okay. So I have my stacks here. I love this stacks. This is a flex. The flex is cheaper, but you'll notice the screen on the stacks is bigger, and it wraps around the sides. So you've got you can see the title here, and you can see some status indicators on the side, and they will actually stack with other stacks devices. So I got a stacks here. and they stack pretty good. They're magnetic. You can also stack flexes as well. The flexes will stack. Oh, come on, camera, don't do that to me. Okay, there you go. The flexes kind of stack too. They're kind of cool. Yeah, and the stacks stack, and the flexes flex. So what we were going to do is I'm going to transfer. Let's just move all this stuff out of the way. So we're going to transfer from Kraken. Or I'm sorry, we'll do Coinbase first. We've got some Ethereum. Got some Ethereum in Coinbase, and I'm trying not to look away from this mic because then you can't hear me. But I do have to turn my head to see what I'm doing over here. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go to Ledger Live, and we'll go into our Ethereum wallet, and we'll hit Receive. Now when we do this, it's going to tell us to allow the secure connection with the device, because I do have the device connected. All right, we'll hit Allow. All right, and then the next thing it's going to say is, do you have the Ethereum app? Yeah, I do. And it's going, okay, well then open it. So I'm opening the Ethereum app. And now it's going to show me an Ethereum address on my device, right? If I swipe over, I can see the Ethereum address, and then I can see it here too as well. I know it's a little bit small, but you can see it, right? And I'll copy it into my clipboard. Make sure you copy it into your clipboard before you hit confirm, because once you hit confirm, the address goes away, right? So copy it into your clipboard. Right, now we've just confirmed the address, right? It's very important with a hardware device. Actually, let's go back over here now. It's kind of easier for me to do it over here because I can face the camera. Okay, so I've got the address in my clipboard. We'll go back over here to Ethereum. You can see I have some in my Coinbase account, not much, but enough. We can go over here, and what we want to do is I'm going to withdraw crypto, and just paste in the. Now this is confusing for a lot of people. What does it want me to do here, right? It's got this crazy search engine thing. It should just say enter address here, but it does not. It's very ambiguous. It says email address, invoice, or ENS, which is like totally confusing. Who uses an address or an invoice or an ENS? I don't even know what those are. You can send crypto from Coinbase to an email address, I think, if they have a Coinbase account. But it's just, they should really improve this interface. But really all I want to do is just paste that address here. Right? So as soon as it does that, then I can confirm it down here. And note that it saw that I had sent to that address before. That's reassuring because that's the address of my Stacks Ethereum wallet. Also notice the Ethereum address never changes like Bitcoin. So we'll click here on Ethereum, and I'm going to use the Ethereum network. I'm not going to use one of these. Don't get caught in this little trap of, hey, Base is free, Avalanche is free, why don't I use those? Well, if you don't know what you're doing, it's never going to show up in your Ethereum wallet. It's going to show up on a different chain, and if you don't know how to manage that chain, you'll think your crypto's gone. So don't get caught up in these networks unless you know what you're doing. So I'm going to use the Ethereum network. It's only 9 cents. I'm not going to sweat it. I'll take the max out. It's not too much. We'll hit send now. And they might want a confirmation here, or they might not. Let's see what they do. Okay, they didn't ask me for an additional confirmation on that withdrawal. I don't know if it's, if they are familiar with me doing stuff like this, or somehow I set a passkey up. I don't know exactly. Sometimes, but they used to always ask me when I made a withdrawal for confirmation, like a text, SMS text verification code, or a Google authentication code, or connect my hardware passkey. Didn't ask me any of that. So whatever, right? Let's go back over here. Let's go down here. I don't see it yet, right? Today's the 30th. If we hit sync, it hasn't shown up yet, right? So it might take it a few minutes. Don't get impatient. As I mentioned, sometimes it takes several minutes. Let's see where we're at here. It says that I sent it. Oh, that's an old one. Okay. Let's see here. I thought they had one that was activity. Oh, here. I'm sorry. In the portfolio, you've got this transactions. And yeah, you can see that I sent ETH today. And it looks like it says it's completed. Okay, so we should see it over here pretty quick. Yeah. Well, maybe not as quick as I was hoping. Yeah, that's the one. Oh, yeah, that's the address. Oh. I got my device over here. Oh, there it is. Okay. I just had to fuss around a little bit. It probably would have happened whether I fussed around or not, but there's that Ethereum coming in. Now, why don't we go ahead and send to this exact same wallet again? This time I can skip the hardware check. Or can I? I'm just going to disconnect my device. Right? I can hit don't have my device and just get the address. It's the same address. I've seen this 1,000 times. I know it's my Ethereum address. Right? Let's go over to Kraken. And I've got some Tether in Kraken right now. Oh, I wanted to point out that you can buy CRO on Kraken. You can buy CRO on Coinbase now as well. You didn't used to be able to. I don't know when Coinbase listed CRO, but maybe it's been a couple of years now. I don't know. But I remember ways back, you know, CRO was hard to sell. You had to sell it on crypto.com. Now I think you can sell it on Coinbase. You can sell it on Kraken if you need to cash out. But anyway, I've got some Tether. Let's see, in my portfolio. Some stablecoin right here. And so what I would like to do is convert. Well, we're going to withdraw that, right? Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're going to convert it to Ethereum. Let's hit that. Let's hit ETH. Now, I'm not going to use Coinbase, or I'm sorry, Kraken Advanced. I could do that and just use one of those fancy limit trades, but I'm kind of in a hurry. I've tried it, Dan. I am trying to do limit trades now and save because the spread will kill you sometimes. But I'm just going to stick with the spread. Now, I'm using Coinbase Plus, Kraken Plus, pardon me. Let's do 75%. Yeah, so I'm getting a free fee, but the spread could hit me. So you got to watch out for that spread. I'm just going to go ahead and make the trade. So they didn't charge me a fee, but sometimes I'll get that spread. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's look at how much Ethereum I got. The Ethereum should be, the Ethereum balance should be around 60. It's less than 60. That was the spread that got me there. Yeah. And there we go. So now we can withdraw it. Now, Kraken makes you whitelist your addresses. Right? So when I do a withdrawal on the Ethereum network, we're not going to mess with any other Ethereum. I've already got the Ethereum stacks in there. The address of my stacks. If I didn't, I could hit add withdrawal address and then add it, but I don't have to go through that. And that's nice for me because I can do this even without being near Ledger Live because I know it's going to go into the right address. So let's go ahead and send that. They're going to charge us a little bit to make the withdrawal. Not a whole lot. 0.001 ETH is like pretty small. Let's go back up here. If we go here, and then we go down here and paste in that. That's 43 cents. Okay. So, yeah, it's a little high by, normal standards, but I'm willing to accept it. All right, so let's confirm it. And off it goes. And there we go. So there are withdrawal fees. There are blockchain fees. There are a lot of fees. And there are people that, get a little uptight about these fees. My view is you're going to go nuts, first of all, agonizing about all the fees that come in. Now, there are ways to mitigate the fees, like off-peak hours is one way to mitigate withdrawal fees because they're based on blockchain fees. So and during times of high activity and high blockchain fees, the exchange is basically passing along the blockchain fees to you because it's your crypto. You're withdrawing it. So they're charging you the blockchain fee, maybe with a premium as well. There are some exchanges that have deals where they'll give you free withdrawals or stuff like that. But they generally make up for it in some other way. Like they have high trading fees and low withdrawal fees, or high withdrawal fees and low trading fees, however that works, right? So there are ways, but try to think of it in terms of long term. You can say, look, I tripled my money. Is the $5 fee really that big of a deal? But the real meticulous people will go, well, that $5 fee would be $15 now because I just tripled. So, but you're just going to go crazy agonizing over blockchain fees. That's how crypto works, blockchain fees. Let's go back to our wallet and see what we got. We should have another one coming in soon. Here shortly from Kraken. Actually, oh yeah, there it is. So we got two, and I'm in the way, aren't I? So you can kind of see, you can see over here. The ones in orange mean that they're not fully confirmed on the blockchain yet, but they will. They're in the wallet, they're just not spendable yet. So don't freak out if it says that it's not confirmed. It doesn't mean you don't have it. It just means it's not fully confirmed on the blockchain. You can't spend it yet. You can't, send it back out again yet. All right. I don't know. There was maybe some other stuff we wanted to do tonight. Let's look over here at our agenda and see. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even talk about this video earlier. I did a video on the lowered price of the Ledger Nano S Plus. It's now $59. We talked about this earlier. But the video where I talk about the lower price, I give you 3 scenarios as to why you might want a Ledger Nano S Plus. The first one is that you should be replacing your Ledger Nano S. Now, there are a lot of diehards out there. I just had a guy comment earlier today, a few hours ago, hey, my Ledger Nano S works just fine. Oh, well, great. If it works just fine for you, then wonderful. But if you're into if you know anything about crypto and you're into crypto and you want to do Web3 and DeFi and you want advanced features and you want advanced security, then you should be using the Ledger Nano S Plus because it supports all those new features. I talked a little bit about Blockade, which is a Web3 company that provides crypto security, and a lot of wallets incorporate their services. Ledger incorporates their service for their transaction check, which before you actually approve the transaction, Ledger will use Blockade to, see what the results might look like and see if it's a malicious address. All kinds of features that they've got that aren't supported with the Ledger Nano S. So, your first use case for a Ledger Nano S Plus is to replace the Ledger Nano S. It's old, it's outdated. If you don't know that much, they haven't even sold it for 3 years. So, if you're new, you probably don't even have one. but they sold a lot of them, and so there are, on the order of millions of people out there that still own them that are, they don't want to spend $59 because they think their S works just fine. They could be right, they could be wrong, and someday it's going to be unusable, and as long as you have your seed phrase, you're fine. It doesn't mean you're going to lose your crypto when the device becomes unusable. It just means that if you want to manage your crypto, if you want immediate access, send and receive access, you need a working device. It's just a tool. It's not really a storage device. It's a tool for managing your crypto. Your crypto is stored on the blockchain. Your seed phrase can be restored to any ledger device and even some other devices with some caveats. So your crypto is safe if you have your backup phrase. Anyhow, so that's the first scenario. Second scenario for a Ledger Nano S Plus is, hey, you're just getting started in crypto, and you've seen the Ledger Nano, you've seen the Ledger Flex or the Ledger Stacks, and you're like, I really would like one of those, but I don't have $250 to spend on a hardware wallet. Well, $59 is not a big ask, and if you're managing $1,000 worth of crypto, $59 is not that much to secure it. It's like if you've got gold and jewels, you want to buy a decent safe so that they're protected. If you buy a Mercedes, you want to, spend the money to, for the maintenance and the oil changes. You shouldn't be like, hey, I've got this crypto, but I don't want to spend any money to, maintain it. So upgrading your hardware devices, maintaining your crypto holdings, right? Especially if you've got life-changing wealth. I mean, really, I would recommend a Ledger Stacks or a Ledger Flex because they're easier to use. But if you're just dipping your toe in the market, $59 is not a bad deal. And then the third scenario would be it's a cheap backup for one of the better devices. So if you got a Flex, you got a Stacks, and you want a cheap backup if the Flex or the Stacks goes down. You could spill coffee on it, your dog could chew it up, you could misplace it, and of course you can buy a new one and restore, but that might take a few days. And who wants to be separated from access to their crypto for a 3-day period, when if you got a little backup that's ready to roll, hit the ground running, just pull it out of the drawer and do your manage your crypto. Like, you might be in the middle of something big when you spill the coffee on your Flex and it's it dies on you. Then you've got one handy to just if you use your seed phrase to restore to this new backup device, then it can be used interchangeably in Ledger Live. So, in other words, if I had a Ledger Nano S Plus that had the Stacks' seed phrase restored, then I could connect it and do the same thing you saw me do a couple of hardware checks, or a hardware check on this wallet. I could have done the same thing with the Ledger Nano S Plus, not the S. The S Plus. I should start calling it the Shazam because there's so much confusion surrounding that. Sell all crypto, waiting 3 weeks, start buying little and wait for that bounce. March, look April. Chill Dad. I just posted an article directly from Crypto.com about the Trump media partnership. Yes, that was the main impetus to the jump in CRO this week. We're not here to advise buying and selling. Yeah, more power to you, Kali Dad, man, 21 by 20. But timing the market and jumping in and out, hoping to, sell high and buy low, it sounds great, but you can get whipsawed onto the wrong side of a trade, and then you're screwed. And then you doubt your strategy, and then you buy back in at a loss, and then it whipsaws the other way, and then you've just screwed yourself again. So jumping in and out like a day trader might be fine for you if you've done your research and you know how markets work, and you've got high-speed trading strategies and all that stuff. But a normal crypto investor should probably shy away from the, hey, I'm going to sell everything now, and then I'm going to buy back in next week when it goes back up again. And then you sell everything now, and then it just keeps going. Well, if it keeps going down, I guess you're okay. But it goes up really fast, and then I've tried it, believe me. I've tried that whole strategy. I remember like agonizing over a basic attention token. I had $3,000 worth of basic attention token, and I was like, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to wait for it to go down, and then I'll buy it back again. Well, I sold it, and then it went up. I'm like, and I'm like, then I got scared. Well, it's going to keep going up, so I better buy back in. Just like it's just not worth the agony. But if it's right for you, it's right for you. And yeah, don't listen to me. I'm just I'm here to give you as much information as possible, but I can't tell anybody how they should trade. But we generally talk about self-custody here. And as we mentioned earlier, someone was complaining about, the exchange that they were using was bogged down. And so the solution to that is self-custody. Keep your crypto in your own wallet so that when you want to trade, you can trade, right? Yes, that's good. Yeah, the Bliss is coming in talking about influencers. Don't believe the influencers. They will tell you anything you want to hear. I wouldn't put my 401 in crypto. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to give you anyone advice, but the basic advice for crypto investing is don't invest in crypto money that you can't afford to lose. I mean, if you go to like a broker, like TD Waterhouse or, Chase or whoever, and you're buying mutual funds and city bonds and whatever, you can, you have a reasonable expectation of a return on that kind of stuff. And so you might want to, put your 401k in there, that kind of stuff. But with crypto, you don't want to put money in there that you are depending on, right? Only money that you can afford to lose or willing to lose, because boy, it's tough when you watch the crypto market whipsaw. I'm sure there were some people that bought into Bitcoin 2 weeks ago that are, pretty upset right now that, hey, as soon as I decide to buy it, now it's down. It'll pass, right? Anyway, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope that everyone got what they came for. I'm really happy that you guys are always here with me every week. Actually, let me fill you in on what we've been doing this week. I decided to put the personal anecdotes at the end. Let's see. Here we got that. Oh, I moved this darn thing, didn't I? Okay. Let's get it. Oh, yeah. So one of the first things I wanted to address, and I'll have to check later. But last week, what we were seeing some frame dropping when I was using this camera, and so after the stream, I kind of looked into it. And as near as I could tell, the problem was that this Canon camera is a 4K camera, but I attach an HDMI cable to the side of it. And so the resolution that it gets when it's just operating on its own and saving to the card is one thing, and the resolution that it gets out of the HDMI cable is something completely different. It can only give me full HD output on the HDMI cable. Unfortunately, that frame rate was 59.94 frames per second. And the Streamlabs desktop software that I use for streaming is expecting 60 frames per second. As near as I can tell, that was the problem. And so there's a setting on this camera called high frame rate, which will take the frame rate up to close to 120 frames per second. But when you do that, the camera can't record sound, which is fine because I'm using a mic. So I put it on that high frame rate. So I'm hoping that nobody had any drop frames this week. I'm hoping that fixed the issue. So other than that, housekeeping wise, it's Labor Day weekend, and we've been all over Michigan this summer, but we decided that we would go to Muskegon yesterday. And one of the main reasons we wanted to go to Muskegon was because Grand Traverse Pie Company doesn't have a location in Grand Rapids anymore. It used to be right around the corner from me, and then somebody ran into the building with a truck, injured some of the people that were in there dining, and just knocked a huge hole in the wall. Well, they patched the hole up, but they never were able to reopen the location. So we don't have a Grand Traverse Pie Company in Grand Rapids, and my wife loves their banana cream pie. And we had gone to Lansing a couple weeks back, and a month ago, and they had a Grand Traverse Pie Company. There's one up in Traverse City, but my wife Googled it, and there's a Grand Traverse Pie Company in Muskegon. I forget the name of the little suburb of Muskegon where it is, but so we drove to Muskegon yesterday. I don't think we'd ever been to Muskegon proper. We went downtown. We checked out the Muskegon Lake, which is really nice. Drove around Shoreline Drive, and then we went to a restaurant on Lake Michigan. I think it was called The Barge. It was really nice. Right there on the lake, you could see the dunes and Lake Michigan. So we had dinner there, and then lunch, and then we went to the Grand Traverse Pie Company, got some pie, had a nice day. Muskegon isn't that far from Grand Rapids, like a 30, 40-minute drive. So we're enjoying our Labor Day. I hope everyone else is out there enjoying their Labor Day. I don't have any other cool stories for you guys that I can think of. Didn't think of right now. But I hope that everyone had a good time tonight. Let's see here. Let's go back to this camera over here. Stream ending. Is this going to work? Yeah, so I hope there weren't any drop frames tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed the stream. Thank you guys for being here. I'm trying to kind of streamline a little bit and not do the personal anecdotes at the beginning of the stream. I think that might turn off a lot of people that tune in, looking for the news or looking for some advice or whatever. I don't know what do you guys think? But I figure I'd wait till the end to kind of shoot the breeze with you guys, because the people here at the end are the real hardcores. So I want to thank Dan for being here. Dan, you were busy tonight answering a lot of questions. People were talking about trading and the cycles and all that. As always, I want to thank Kenny for the news. I appreciate seeing that news in my inbox every day. Helps me out to pick stories for the live stream. Everyone that came in, yeah, this is just so annoying. I get these scams. Let me see if I can. Well, I can't really. Let's look over here and see if I can. I don't know if I can get this or not. Yeah, these guys just drive me nuts. They got to be here somewhere. Yeah, these jerks. They're constantly putting these comments in my, my videos about some token, and they'll pelt my comment section with the same token, and like 15 comments. And they're all supposedly from different people talking about this new token. Here they are. Here's some more of them. And I have to go through here And yeah, there are a bunch of them in a row here about this Grok 25B dollar sign, and it's just a real pain in the butt to have to weed through my comments and get rid of these jerk offs. But please don't ever buy any tokens from my comment section, from people claiming that, hey, this coin is doing good or whatever. And don't ever contact me from someone that I get a lot of impersonators that come into my comments and try to say, oh, contact me on Telegram or WhatsApp or whatever. My comments have this little thing here and a check mark that says that, hey, this is the official CryptoDad making a comment. So if you don't see that, then don't, listen to him or whoever they are, right? I've changed my icon too. I took a picture with this 4K camera using 4K onto the card, and this picture came out pretty good. So I replaced my my profile pic with that. Anywho, I'm getting off track here. I wanted to thank everyone that was here. Thank Kenny, Mr. Miskey, everyone that joined in, everyone that asked questions. Good to have you guys here. Joseph, thank you so much for your kind donation. Dustin and Shadow, thank you so much for donating memberships. That's really cool of you. Once again, thank you, Dan, for all the moderating, and thank you, everyone that asked questions. I hope I got your questions answered. If I did not answer your question, shoot me an email, thecryptodad@gmail.com. I will respond to you with the best of my ability. If you need a one-on-one consulting session, I do that. But shoot me an email first, because a lot of times I can solve your problems just through a few email exchanges. So we'll do this every Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join me again for the live stream from Michigan, where you can throw out questions and I'll do my best to get them answered. Hope to see you again next week. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. When you subscribe, there's a little bell that you can click that will allow you to be alerted whenever I post new content. Once again, thanks for joining me, and hope to see you again soon. Stay safe out there. Good night, everybody.